Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Misturini, and today I have the honor of interviewing Rob Vanderloo, bassist of Epica. Rob, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to talk a little about your career, the new album Aspiral, the upcoming Latin America tour, and of course the Brazilian fans of the band. You joined Epica back in 2012. Looking back now, what do you feel has been the biggest transformation you brought to the band sound, and what has been the biggest transformation the band has brought to you?
Oof, that's a very good question. Let's start let's start with the first part. What my input has been. I guess I had some creative input through the years, of course, especially if it came to songwriting. I remember also when I joined the band that we chose to, have like a complete update if it comes to the whole production team and such, because they used to work a lot with Sasha Pitt in Germany mostly, and then we also decided to hey, if we are gonna have like a new lineup, why not also change the new studio, different producer and such, and that's something that we've been working on ever since, and it worked out pretty well, I must say. I've been very content with all the releases that we've done ever since. So yeah.
We know you had a huge influence in bringing Stanislaw Sukowski as a reference of Aspiral, something quite unusual for a symphonic metal record, and even a big novelty. Could you share how this idea came about and how it shaped the approach to composing for the album?
Actually, it was a little bit of I don't want to say an accident, but the actual music for the Aspiral song was composed somewhere during COVID. I remember when I watched Struggle, which is the Netflix documentary about Stanislav Sukowski. I was so blown away about like how they depicted his artwork, and also the combination of like how it was displayed, but also the soundtracks along with it. And I felt so inspired that I was like, wouldn't it be a cool idea to one day maybe like compose a soundtrack for his artwork? Because I mean, if you look at it, it's so detailed. Every detail in his sculptures are basically already like a story on his own. So this wasn't even intentionally for Epica. It was just like something that I needed to do. It felt like some kind of I got a creative boost out of it, and I was sitting at home anyway because we're all just dealing with the lockdown, and that's how the main idea came for Aspiral. And then later on, when we came together for the songwriting camp for the ninth album, which still didn't have a title back then, yeah, we were all sitting together, and everybody was able to bring in their ideas for songs and such, and we kind of decided to do that on purpose to keep the songs to a kind of like a minimal, just to come up with a few like very basic ideas and do most of the writing during the songwriting camps. But I already had that idea for Aspiral, and I said like, this guy, well guys, I'm not sure if this is going to work out for Epica, because it's not intentionally written for Epica, but just have a listen at it, and if it's nothing, if you don't like it, I'll just use it for something else. That's fine. But it became much clear that everybody felt kind of intrigued by it, because it's not like a typical standard ballad, for instance. It's something completely different. It actually is a soundtrack, and that's also how it sounds. That's the whole intention behind it. And yeah, eventually we started to work on it. I worked with Simone on the vocal lines, and like within 2 hours we already like had everything finished. It went so quick. It was a very natural process, and that's from there on, like also the message behind the song, the message behind the sculpture, the stories from Stanislav Sukowski himself as well, was so inspiring for us that from there on we picked it up, and that kind of became the theme eventually for the album.
Critics have pointed out that Aspiral sounds more direct and clean compared to the previous albums, giving each musician more room to shine individually. Do you feel that in your bass playing? What there's anything different in your approach to recording or performing the bass lines on this record?
Yeah, I guess the most important part, important different factor compared to the other albums, was that this time we chose to record everything as a band. Normally when you go into the studio, especially with the more modern approach, everything gets recorded separately, and that's a pretty clinical process, and we're all kind of starting to get a little bit, well, perhaps fed up with it. We wanted to create a very organic album. We wanted, like, why not capture the sound of how we sound live, and why don't we just do it in this very clinical way, and they have this very typical modern sound. No, we kind of prefer to make this album sound like really sound as a band. So that's why we chose to go for this approach of like, let's just sit together, not record things separately, but just do it as an actual band. And that's how things actually start rolling for that as well. And that's why sound is so clear. It has to be clear. If you're going to record it live and you want to make it sound live, it has to be clear, or else it's not going to work. And it also adds, of course, you have to work way harder, because you can't say like, oh, let's stop here and then record this and record that and do everything separately. But you have to like really work your ass off to make it work just like you do on stage, basically. So it was a very energetic way of recording it, but also a very fun way to record it. That's like a very fun memory.
Latin America fans have always been incredibly passionate about Epica, with several cities here even leading the band streams on Spotify. How do you personally feel this connection reaction when you're on stage?
Yeah, I mean, each and every time when we come back to Latin America, it's incredible, like the feedback that we get from the people, that the energy that you feel, even if you arrive with the biggest jet lag and you feel like a complete mess because of all the traveling, people give you so much energy, and that's something that you'll definitely see back in the live show as well. Because yeah, of course you have to put in the energy yourself as well, but then again, receiving that energy from the audience, that's something so important. That's one of the things why we do this. It also is a huge motivator to do what we do.
What can Brazilian fans expect from this new tour? And what message would you like to share with everyone watching this interview?
Yeah, well, first of all, I really want to express that we of Epica, we're always been so grateful for our Latin American fans to be so passionate and so supportive of what we do. It's something we never will take for granted. That's something absolutely amazing. So we're looking very much forward to come back to Latin America. Can't believe it's already within less than 2 weeks already. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And apart from that, what can people expect? Well, I'm not gonna say too much about that, but you can expect like a very cool, diverse set. It's going to be a mixture of course, the old material, but also a lot of new songs. We're actually also going to play some stuff that we haven't played before yet. So yeah, there are some surprises for you guys.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you for your time. I'll see you on September 7th here in Curitiba. And I have to say, the new album, Aspiral, is a masterpiece.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.